6:30.
All right, all my social distancing friends, I will call the meeting to order with a Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone via some sort of media. Thank you for joining us. We'll call Mr. Lombard.
Holm.
Yes.
Odie.
Yes.
Klumper.
Yes.
Saxer.
Yes.
Jelcott. Dr. Timm.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. With that, if there are no changes that need to be made to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please. So moved. There's been a first and a second. Roll call, Mr. Lombard.
Saxer.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Klumper. Yes. Jelcott.
Yes.
Holm.
Yes. All right. With that, there are no conflict of interest, disclosure, or waiver requests. Community input will be kept to a minimum tonight. In fact, there is none. So that takes us to our first report under general business, the good news report from the Brandon Valley Intermediate School. Mr. Skibstad.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to present on an experience that our sixth graders provided. Each year I tried to provide an experience for all of our fifth grade, an experience for all of our sixth grade, whatever that may look like. In fifth grade has typically been our artist in residence experience. This year we had a sculptor, which was really nice compared to some things from the past. So that was a good experience. The sixth grade, we've developed a partnership, maybe a relationship with the Sioux Falls Developmental Foundation and working on some STEM activity type things. And this year we partnered with Poet as well. So my main goal is to provide authentic experiences for our students and give them something that hopefully engages them and maybe sparks their interest that they might otherwise would not have gotten. So the purpose, provide purposeful engagement and authentic experiences through the STEM exploration. As we go through some slides here, you'll see what Poet presented and how they provided things, and very, very high level, looking to maybe expand on this in the following years as we continue to move forward. Develop working partnerships with local businesses. Again, trying to get our students exposed to what's out there, what's going on. And the third point, develop student interest in careers that are related to South Dakota. A lot of the things that we do, our students don't really know what we do as far as for within our community and our economy and different things like that. So I thought Poet was a great opportunity to bring in and provide this, and the two engineers from Poet did an outstanding job for us. We had a lot of meetings and different things like that to get things ready, and I was a little nervous on how they would do presenting to groups of 100 kids. We had 3 different rotations, so each team rotated through. We did it in the lunchroom, so did a bigger presentation part on that point. So like I said, Poet came in and they really explained kind of what they did. It's more than just creating ethanol or things like that, and so they broke down the biofuel component of things and what actually comes from a kernel of corn, and gave them the background knowledge of those different things. And you can go to the next one, and continue to discuss, okay, how does this process work typically in South Dakota with Poet plants? Simple picture, your farmer brings in the grain goes in these bins, and they, again, start making the corn into flour and things like that. And then on the next slide, they continue to provide their process of how they started to break all of these things apart from a kernel of corn, and got them to the point where then they continued to the next slide where, okay, now we're starting to make the feed, the fuel, and the oils that come from that corn. And again, broke down that process for them and explained it on a very surfacey 30,000-foot view of what it is, so they can get a little bit of an idea. And then on the next slide, they broke down different careers. It's not just an engineer. They talked about the farmers. They talked about carpenters and maintenance and electricians. They put up a big picture of different jobs and asked which one was most important, and they all go together. You need this, obviously, the civil engineer project, safety managers, just technicians to work on things. They also have the sales and marketing on different things from that standpoint that all go within their company, that all come to make this one product. And then at the end, they had a STEM challenge, and so what Poet made up was a solution on your left-hand side there that was made up of water, oil, beads, and then glitter, and to represent the kernel of corn. And then the kids were given different items they had to be able to then on the right-hand side try to separate everything from that container. And then it was a contest as far as for who had the best separation. They had to present it to one of the guys that were up there. And so each student was given a role, and they went through, again, kind of comparing it to what the roles were within POET, captain, project manager, engineer, scientist, the operator, the buyer, the marketer. And they did take the time to explain, what kind of skill set you did need, to be able to be successful within that role. So those were given. And then on the next slide, these are just a few shots real quickly of kind of what they were doing. The bottom left, they're presenting. The kind of the top one in the middle, they had a strainer, they had coffee filters, they had funnels, they had spoons, they had cotton balls, all sorts of different things to try to utilize to be able to separate some of these things apart from that standpoint. And then the Sioux Falls Developmental Foundation actually created a video for them to be able to show from our students, and puts it in a lot better perspective than I probably just explained to you, but I wanted to give you the background of kind of what we did.
Well, welcome. It's so nice to be with you guys today.
Call this a formula for workforce development success. The Sioux Falls Development Foundation and POET teamed up recently to provide a memorable lesson for Brandon Valley's sixth graders.
This is a great opportunity for us to talk about careers in science, particularly chemical engineers, which we're in such short supply of.
We have sustainable energy that can provide to a lot of different companies, organizations, and sources. We're seeing more and more that we need to get in front of students at a younger age just to expose them to all the different opportunities that they have, in the different fields, but also to stay in South Dakota.
POET engineers helped put this program together, detailing what the company's work involves and what careers can be built there.
I think it's great for POET to get their message out there. So biofuels are something that we produce here in the Midwest and are great for the environment, renewable and cheaper than gas tanks. So if we can get messages like that out to students at the same time that we share with them that, hey, there's career opportunities here in South Dakota, it's going to be a big deal.
Engineering and science and operations sometimes might sound a little bit intimidating, but these are fun careers that they can jump right into after school and even start pursuing classes now that lean towards these different areas.
People like POET process engineer Dallas Harder helped personalize the message.
Growing up, I didn't think I was going to be a chemical engineer. I wanted to be a NASCAR driver, then I wanted to be an author, then I wanted to be a professional musician, and then just kind of at the end of my high school career, I was like, okay, let's be an engineer, and let's go to South Dakota School of Mines.
He says a program like this would have had an enormous effect on him.
If I would have had this growing up, this would have changed where I went. Just being able to kind of learn what they kind of do, because when you hear engineering, you're thinking, okay, someone that builds things, someone who's good with math, good with their hands, and that's part of it, but that's not the whole thing.
Then it was time for hands-on learning.
We got like a mixture of 4 different things that represented something, and we had to separate it as best we could in a limited amount of time.
So it was like beads and water and oil and glitter, and each of those kind of represented something from our process. So we explained to them that as a chemical engineer, part of our job is to separate the items that we have in our facility into high quality products that we can sell to the consumer.
Students divided into groups and assumed roles similar to a real-world business team.
I was team captain today, and I kind of ran the group and decided how everything went, but they had different roles too. I was the project manager, so I just kind of looked over everything and gave some suggestions on what we should do. I was the scientist and researcher, so I got to design the process that we got to go through and then help kind of facilitate it and make sure everyone was doing what they're supposed to. I had to keep track of time for everyone and told them how much time we had left and if we needed to do it faster or if we could keep going at the rate we were going. We took the beads and put them through the strainer, and then we put them in their finishing container, Then we took the water and the glitter mixture and we put it over a coffee filter. And then we put the rest of the glitter that we got in the coffee filter into the finishing container. And then we didn't really know how to separate the water and the oil. And we were running out of time, so we just kind of divided the solution in half and called it good. I thought it was really fun to work with the groups and be able to have different roles and work on one challenge together and be able to succeed in it.
Winning groups were chosen and students presented to the class how they tackled the project. Staff said the program's structure was ideal for learning.
The introduction, telling them what POET does, showing them what POET does, and then giving them the opportunity to experience it hands-on. It was such a well laid out presentation. I was very impressed with what they put together today.
And it definitely made a positive impression on the students.
I learned how different ethanol and gasoline were from each other, and when they were burned, gasoline left like a black soot and ethanol stayed clean, and that showed me how POET used it to create clean air. POET's really cool and that they might have good job opportunities in the future. I learned that what POET does is really good, how they create better ways to fuel things and get cleaner air.
The Brandon Valley activity is just part of a larger Development Foundation program called Your Future STEM that's partnering with industry and education to engage students with STEM-related careers. It's already tackled construction and architecture, now biofuels, and healthcare is next.
This is a huge priority because we know that we have to start earlier. So we're starting in 6th and 7th and 8th grade. We're coming in with skill development, career exposure, as well as aligned into their curriculum. That's how we're going to help them and guide them through high school and into college about what we need to see finally in industry.
The Development Foundation being able to provide these opportunities is such a unique opportunity, and I'm thankful that our school district allows those opportunities to happen.
So again, they did kind of a better job explaining kind of what we did, but again, the end side or the end goal, I guess, as we continue to move forward and what does, school look like in the future, hopefully we can do our part at the intermediate school to expose our kids to some of these things that might draw some interest to some students, and as they grow into middle school and into high school and whatever internships and different things like that look forward to, I kind of strive off those things, so I try to replicate that as the best I can to our students, just to give them the exposure. And again, I go back to the term authentic experiences. If we helped one of them, we did our job. So that's what we did this year for something kind of different and unique. Any questions?
Just for the sake of understanding, what other programs have you brought through in relation to the Sioux Falls Development Foundation?
Yep, so last year we brought in, they worked with like rocks and concrete mixing and different things like that, and gosh, I can't think of the company.
It was the construction company, Architecture Incorporated, weren't they the individuals that
They
did
were a
that?
part of it, and then we had, gosh, I can't think of, they made our Gage Brothers, they came in and they talked about our big slabs with the links on it and stuff like that, and that they built those and brought those in and they explained their process. And the kids' activity, that one last year, was actually creating concrete through their mixture and their different slurries that they use, and how to have certain ratios of different things to make different consistencies and all of those different things. So that's the one we did last year.
I can't find the right word, but exiting interview or exiting project. Do you ever, you're taking kids like, say, Susie here really likes engineering, so you sort of put that in your record, and then if she's pursuing that, and then as she gets to maybe high school, you sort of ask her again when she enters high school, are you still interested in engineering?
I would say we haven't had long enough data to be able to do that, but I would say between like our smart lab and a lot of our science classes with those different things that we have, our staff would know who they would earmark that would do those different things and have that mind for those things moving forward. And just again, I think by the different experiences that we give in the middle school and then even get to the high school, they can naturally kind of make their path for that.
Member Odie, I would just comment that what we really try and work on is exposure, career exposure, especially at the younger ages. And then once you get through that middle school realm and you go through career explorations, then you start talking about what does your high school academic path need to be if you want to be an engineer or construction worker or a medical doctor. So we really try to enhance and promote the exposure up until the end of that middle school, and then we provide, if they have clear direction on what they want to do, what their high school academic path would look like. Great question.
I appreciate the presentation first and foremost, but also the legwork that you put together to bring it into the intermediate school. I think it's earlier than we'd probably see in some other districts. Sometimes we wait till middle school or even high school till we get that kind of exposure. So like they noted in the video, it's important for them to start opening their minds to that, so thank you for doing that. And also, it supports our strategic plan, so I appreciate you also doing that. So it opens up the minds so much more so to, engineering wasn't something I think I was exposed to in intermediate school. So I appreciate that. And I know that you're exposing them to so much more than that, so I just thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, with that takes us to building reports, administration report, Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of items to update you on this evening. I want to try and be as brief as possible. Would note that Member Saxer has declared candidacy for the ASBSD Southeast Executive Board position. We have developed a joint letter between our Madam Chair, myself, and the business manager, and we'll be communicating that out to each of those three respective departments in each of the Southeast membership schools. So we certainly want to make certain that they know how much we support Ellie on her endeavor, and also the great job she's done for us, and also how she would perform so well at that state level, articulating the need for public education and the support of public education. Sprague Elementary School construction timeline plows forward. We're working through a variety of those items at this point in time, and it's critical to note at this point we stay on track. However, there is always the potential that our recent situation, our current situation, could have a potential impact on any of those types of supply lines, etc. I will keep you up to date as I know more, but right now there is no change to the timeline. The Title I budget, as you were previously made aware and voted on, we had those staff reductions take place. The formal communication, as required in accordance to state law, will go out this week. That's necessary and mandated to be done prior to April 15th. So know that those communications, those formal certified letters, are being distributed here in the near future to complete that process. United States Department of Education visit with the Assistant Secretary is canceled. Negotiations, just one update I would have with you on that is we are going to postpone our initial meeting with the BVEA to Wednesday, April 1st. The reason for that is Veto Day is coming up here. It's next week, Monday, so 1 week from today. And there has been conversation at the state level about opening the budget or reevaluating the budget. So we're going to just take a chance, given our current circumstances again, to just pause for 1 week, allow that to happen, allow veto day to happen, and then proceed forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we very likely may proceed forward on April 1st with the assumption that it's 2% because it's still 2%, and plow forward and work with our association as necessary as more information comes to light. But it's important to note that we still have to plan for and work our processes to be ready for next year as we work through the negotiations process. So April 1st will be our initial meeting with the Brandon Valley Education Association. It's important to note that we agreed jointly to postponing that by 1 week. I would note that that will keep us on track to ratify the master contract and do those other items on April 14th. In the event that something changes, I will certainly keep you apprised of the situation. The budget process, the most important thing to note, we'll see a preliminary budget presentation in May, and then our public budget hearing will occur in July. Child Nutrition Services has been busy the last few days, given our unique set of circumstances. They are doing grab-and-go lunches, and I would note that that program has gone about as well as we could have asked it to go. Certainly appreciate all the extra work out of our CNS department. Our elementaries will be with us in April at our second meeting to provide a good news presentation, and then just want to provide the Board of Education a quick update on COVID-19. We have a school district COVID-19 website. It is absolutely critical that folks know that that is our central communication hub in terms of COVID-19. It is the first thing that gets updated in the event that we're going to have school closure or in the event that distance learning plans become available, those types of things. So it's important to point people to our COVID-19 website as our central communication hub. I would point out that our distance learning plans were launched last week. So we had a week of distance learning, and this is our second week of distance learning. There are enhancements included within our second week of distance learning that weren't in our first week. I would note that we will continually work to improve our distance learning plans, specifically at that elementary and intermediate school level, and then also our middle school and high school plans and distance learning plans and processes are in place, certainly being sharpened and refined as we work the process. Grab-and-go lunch, 4 locations. Those locations are available on our COVID-19 website. And then it's just important to note that we continue to monitor the situation as it rapidly emerges. Booster Club video board update. The Booster Club is still in the process and the planning continues. As I previously had noted, the Brandon Valley School District will purchase the Booster Club, immediately reimburses. Again, that's common practice and a tax advantage for the parties involved. The COAT contract is included in this board agenda and will receive action. And then ultimately, we are currently closed. When we look at our academic calendar, current closure is until March 27th. I would anticipate that may change in the coming days, and when it does, again, our COVID-19 website is the best place to monitor. For updates on that, looking through, we have our spring break season coming up, and we'll certainly communicate on that front as appropriate. I do want to take a second to just thank the Brandon Valley School Board of Education for allowing me the ability to lead and manage through the COVID-19 situation, make day-to-day decisions, and ultimately help us or lead us and navigate us through this situation. I greatly appreciate the distance that you have allowed me while leading and managing the situation, and know that we're going to do the absolute very best we can in a bad situation. We will continue promoting student learning, and we will continue to support our staff and our community through this situation. So with that, I would certainly entertain any questions that you have.
I just want to sincerely thank President Ullem, Dr. Larson, and Business Manager Lundberg for your support. That means a lot. So from a distance, a virtual hug. In regards to COVID-19, I know we've talked about it a lot. I think something that should be commented upon is the Brandon Valley School District and, I guess, there's been a common theme across the community. Everybody's come together. Not every school district has been as fortunate to launch, I think, a distance learning plan as effective as has been launched in this district. So from the top, Dr. Larson, how you've led, but also all of your administrative staff, from the principals as well as all the teachers, technology, business manager Lundberg, everybody has, I guess, come together quickly, has launched an effective distance learning plan. I know the teachers are working tirelessly to support their students. I know parents are learning how to teach. I know my son is constantly telling me that's not how Mr. Giles does it. But we've had a luxury of being able to launch a distance learning plan from the get-go rather than being a days or even a week behind, and being able to keep our students as best we can up to speed and up to date. So I appreciate that, and also the communication that's ensued. So thank you so very much from everybody that's involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Larson, and like Ellie said, thank you. Even those of us who work in the healthcare field right now are unsure really how to navigate everything other than I know when the mask is, so that's the most important thing. And just, keeping everybody in our thoughts, everybody remain healthy. If you don't feel well, call your doctor. Do what you're supposed to do. Stay healthy, because we need everyone. So, but thank you, Superintendent Larson, above all, for leading us in this very interesting path that we are on right now. With that, that takes us to our general business consent items, number 1 through 3. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please. There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Odie. Yep. Saxer.
Yes.
Klumper. Yes. Talcott.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Under personnel, we have one that we need to do above the line. I would entertain a motion to approve the resignation from Abigail Klumper, an intermediate school 5th grade English language arts teacher, effective at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. There's been a first and a second. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Saxer. Yes. Odie. Yep. Talcott.
Yes.
Klumper.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Personnel items, numbers 2 through 8. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Talcott.
Yes.
Saxer.
Yes.
Klumper. Yes. Odie. Yes. Allen.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. There is a thank you there for your review, and then formal board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to give tonight? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to go into teacher executive session by South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2.4 for teacher contract negotiation preparations.
So moved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So for this particular session of the board meeting, I'm going to take myself out of it. Even though this future contract doesn't necessarily pertain to my wife, she's leaving, I'm just going to remove myself to make sure there isn't anything untoward in this whole thing. So,
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are in
Yes.
abstain.
Talcott.
Yes.
Yep.
Talcott.
Yeah, he said yes.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes. All right.
It is 6:59 is what I have.
All right, so we are out of executive session. It is 7:10 p.m. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. There's been a first and a second. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Saxer.
Yes.
Odie. Talcott.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Stay safe and healthy, please.
Thanks, Dr. Talcott. Have a good night.
You want me to sign this co-contract, or you want to do it?
Go ahead.
You need us to write down any of our
They'll take care of it.